guests.
And what time are we? Give it just another minute here.
5:31. Here's Mr. White.
Do we have any commissioners who are excused for today?
Yes, we have Commissioner Dada.
Ah, okay. Maybe we should go ahead and get started. I think we have a significant quorum then. So let me call to order the meeting of the Airport Commission. We dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance, as every other commission is doing, simply because we are all on different locations here. So Mr. Geary, has the agenda been posted?
It has.
Very good. Nadia, would you like to read the roll call?
Commissioners Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Altman, retired. Commissioner Breslin.
Present.
Budillo.
Present.
Burke.
Present.
Clarkson.
Here.
Corcoran.
Here.
Dada excused. Feldman.
Here.
Freemuth.
Yep.
Hedrick.
Here.
Hearn.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Attison.
Here.
Pye.
Here.
Reason. Okay. Schmitz.
Here.
And Swearell.
Here.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Nadia. We have a quorum. If you've had a chance to look at the agenda, would somebody like to move acceptance of the agenda? It's pretty full today. Any changes or additions to the agenda? Then a motion to adopt it is presented. Don't all do it at once. Okay, Ken, you did. Thank you. Ken moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Todd Burke seconds. Great, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Nay. Okay. All right. Nadia, do we have any public comments?
No, we did not receive any requests to speak.
Okay. Then our next item is the approval of the minutes of the September 16th meeting. I hope you've had a chance to review those. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none.
To adopt.
Very good. There was a motion to adopt. That was Rolf, you did? Okay,
Yep.
second?
I second.
Very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we'll move now to the chairman's report.
Chairman Jones,
Pardon
hold on, real quick. Nadia, can you make sure that everybody in the lobby is let in?
Okay. All right, move here. Just as a reminder, please be on mute unless you're speaking so that we don't pick up background noise. So I see lots of you. There we go. Okay, we're all getting muted here. And then as always with my procedure, if you want to be recognized, just raise your hand and I'll make a list and we'll take the order in which you raise your hand so that you don't have to try to get in all the time. And a special welcome to Daniel Meyer, our new marketing person, and you'll get introduced to him in a little bit. I thought I would start first that we did, Richard Altman, who represents Cathedral City, did have to resign due to family responsibilities, so we wish him well. He has informed the mayor of Cathedral City, so we're waiting to hear of a new appointment from Cathedral City. But I thought I would let you know about that. He just called me last week about that. Next on the agenda, just so that you are refreshed here, there were commissioner requests from our September meeting. And as we promised at that time, we have added the 3 items raised by Commissioner Feltman and 1 item raised by Commissioner Swearell. Commissioner Feltman wanted information about the tracking of the general public attendance, the shade structure, and the packaged goods for restaurant takeout. And Commissioner Swearell wanted information about the TSA priority lane. Interim Executive Director Aguirre is going to report on each of these in item 12 into the Executive Director reports. So we will be turning to that. A reminder, I don't know if some of you also got, as I did, the ethics training. Just a reminder that you must complete it by December the 1st. If I recall, this particular one is 2 hours and you can't go any faster than that. So you need to set aside time to do that. So I suspect others of you got that request as well. I thought I would share with you that I was invited to speak at the Palm Springs New Rotary on October the 14th. And in fact, it was a very good presentation and interaction with the Rotarians who were in attendance. They were most excited by what we're doing at the airport, particularly about the new airlines and the new flights and the new destinations that we're getting. And they were very supportive. And they asked a few questions about flying. How safe was it? And I was able to outline what the steps that the airlines are taking to ensure that. I also flew to Las Vegas myself on the first weekend in October. I thought it was time that the chairman of the airport commission took a flight into Palm Springs to check how it went. And I must say, I felt very confident in the protocols implemented by the airline. They were very thorough. Masks were required. No one tried not to take off or not to wear their masks. And I felt very safe and very good. And it was over 2 weeks ago, and I'm still healthy as one can be. So I was very impressed and felt very comfortable flying. So that helped me actually respond to some questions when I was speaking with the Rotarians here in Palm Springs. As we move forward on today's agenda, Commissioner Breslin, Chair of the Marketing Committee, is going to provide a recap of the Marketing Committee meeting that met last week under item 11. And Commissioner Clarkson is going to provide a recap of the Noise Committee meeting that occurred just prior to our meeting today. So we do have a full agenda. So I think I'm going to turn next to item 8, the introductions and presentations, and turn it over to Ulysses.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Chairman Jones. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce and welcome Daniel Mayer to the Palm Springs, to the City of Palm Springs. He is our new Deputy Director of Marketing and Air Service. Daniel will give a couple of words regarding his experience and a couple of things that he might be working on. Daniel?
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for welcoming. Yeah, my name's Daniel Meyer, new to the airport. Today is day 11 on the job, and I feel like I've definitely got my work cut out for me, but it's been exciting. I'm enjoying it so far. For those of you who don't know, I came to Palm Springs from Allegiant Air, worked at the headquarters in airport affairs. Prior to that, I did marketing and air service development at Tulsa International in Oklahoma, and also was an adjunct aviation professor at Oklahoma State University at their Tulsa campus, teaching airport marketing and airport planning and management. I've got a few projects in the works, doing some working up some promotions, some social media promotions for our new service coming in, our new airlines for Southwest coming in. When we get some more details, we'll be sure to share that with you. We're kind of working out a plan on exactly what we want to do and how we want to do it. Let's see, and I think, oh, and also speaking of social media, promotion, we've actually, this last week, I got our social media channels for the airport up and running. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you search any of those platforms on the handle for @FlyPSP, you will find us. And I think that's about all I have to say right now, but I want to say thank you for bringing me down to Palm Springs and welcoming me, and I am looking forward to working with everybody to continue our growth.
We are excited to have Daniel on board. He's bringing a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of good ideas, and he's anxious to go out, promote the airport, promote the new service that is coming forth here. Daniel did mention the fact that he was most recently from Allegiant Airlines, and as you know, we also got some Allegiant service as well. I'm not sure whether there's a connection there or not. I'll let you draw that conclusion. But Daniel, welcome on board, and thank you for being here and for the enthusiasm that you're bringing and what you're going to do for us. So I appreciate that. So next item, Nadia, if I can get the slides up, please. So one of the things that I wanted to just bring to the attention of the commission members, just an information piece, is the fact that we do have at the airport an airline incentive program that was approved in 2019. It is currently what we're operating under right now. It was it was a program that is available to any airlines to basically be able to entice, give them an incentive to operate out of the airport. What the program does, it provides a waiver of certain airport fees for 1 year. It also allows airlines to request those incentives only for designated target cities. Those were cities that we will share on the next slide, but it was target cities for both those cities that we have current service for, or for service that at cities that we do not currently have operations at. There is no direct payment to the airlines whatsoever. These are just, again, fee waivers. And the airline, excuse me, the cap for the program is $500,000 for all airlines cumulative over the entire program. Nadia, next slide, please. Here is a list of the cities. The top bullet point identifies new target cities that were not currently served at the time. You can see some of those cities there are cities which some of the airlines are not going to start serving. Oakland, Philadelphia, San Jose, to point out some. And then down below also are existing cities that are currently served. And as you know, we have new service being launched to Denver, Los Angeles, as two of the cities that there's more service toward. And then the incentive also allowed for incentive to be given to any international cities that have customs pre-clearance, such as Dublin was given an example. Just to make it clear, we do not have any international cities that have been identified by any of the most recent airlines as they start service here in the next couple of months. Next slide, please, Nadia. And so, I'm sorry, next one, Nadia, that's an incorrect slide. So we have given fee waivers to 2 different airlines for services to 2 different cities. Everett is associated with Seattle, and Contour provided service to Sacramento. And so for a total of approximately $50,000 that we've committed out of the $500,000 of the cap. Nadia, next slide, please. Or going back, I'm sorry. So the one thing that I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention is at this point in time, we do not have any formal application by any of the airlines who have announced new service to either be launched or new service to any of the existing cities. We have available the balance of the $500,000, which is about $450,000. We are going to monitor any applications and the services that are provided because if we add up all the potential all the potential service that could qualify under the the airline incentive program, it may exceed the dollar amounts that we have identified for the entire program. Again, we will keep track of these. We will report back periodically, but at this point in time, we don't have an official application from anybody submitted, so we don't have any dollars that are committed. What we will do as the applications come in from respective airlines, we will honor them as they come in on a month-to-month basis until the program is exhausted. So just wanted to share that with you right now.
Okay.
Next slide, Nadia. The next topic is talking about just following up on something that Fred Bell from the Air Museum talked about last time, and that was the retirement of an F-117 stealth fighter. And so that aircraft arrived here at the airport at the end of September, and on October 4th, there was a retirement ceremony over at the museum. Not sure if any commissioners did attend, but they do have a short video that I just want to share that people might find interesting regarding the water cannon salute of the aircraft itself. Nadia, can you launch that, please?
That's beautiful.
Unfortunately, the audio is not audible right now, but they had a very specific script that they followed as the aircraft asked for permission to taxi to the Palm Springs Air Museum, and the controller read back a very specific reply back acknowledging the rich history of this particular aircraft and basically wishing it well in its retirement. So a nice event and a fitting way to retire an aircraft that served the country well. So. And so with that, the last announcement that I have, presentations, is just unfortunately for us, Mark Jute is retiring, and this meeting today is probably the last airport commissioner meeting that he will be participating in. I'm trying to get him to come back and do cameo appearances for the next couple of them. I'm not sure I'm being too convincing, but I just want you to all know that Mark has served the airport well for, 9 years, Mark? 9 years, and I think you've all appreciated his reports over the years as part of his departing contribution to the commission. He's going to be giving also Airport Budget 101 class, a 5-minute overview on airport budgets for everybody's benefit. But Mark, thank you very much to your service to the city, to the airport, and also serving the commission with valuable information. I appreciate it. Chairman, that concludes my presentations.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ulysses. And Mark, you are going to be missed, but we're going to hear from you later in just a bit. Next is the city manager report. I don't know, is David ready on Nadia?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you are, David. Okay, I couldn't see when I checked earlier. All right, we are at the city manager report. I turn it over to you, David.
Great, thank you. There's not anything specific to address other than we are going to have the passenger board bridge on the council agenda this Thursday. So hopefully we'll get that construction contract moving. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. If there's any questions, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions of Mr. Reddy? No, I don't see any. I have to look at 3 different screens at the same time, but nope. All right. Then Ulysses, we'll move back to you, and Mark, I suspect, for the budget and finance report.
Yes, Mark, please.
Good evening, everyone. So here we go. We're in a interesting situation, interesting time, but the airport budget, I feel, is in sound shape. Looking at page 1, I just wanted to kind of go through the revenue streams so that commissioners are reminded of where we have been and where we plan to be this year. The first revenue account that we have is our Fund 405, which is our customer facility charge. As most of you know, this is generated strictly from the rental car business, and we get $10 per transaction. In 2019, for our last normal year of operation, we generated just over $2.5 million into that account. This year, as you can see, we're budgeting only $1.4 million. So a very conservative approach, and I feel comfortable that we will hit that. So that fund is all separate, and those funds are setting aside. And as we'll notice later in the report, we have just over $24 million setting aside in that CFC fund for car rental improvements that we will be planning for shortly. Second fund is
Mark, I'm sorry, I have a question on the legends here on the columns. On the right side, there's fiscal year 17-18. Is that correct?
No, we put this together very quick. So current year, of course.
So that's 20. That's
yeah.
1920, correct?
Yes, yeah. The header is, the years are wrong. So it should be, of course, fiscal year 2021 and fiscal year 1920. So that's a typo.
You did that as a test, I assume. Mm-hmm.
I did that as a test. We've got a lot of things going on. I apologize for that typo. I was focused on the body and the numbers and overlooked the headers. So we'll correct that for next month.
Good catch.
Fund 410 is our passenger facility account. And in prior years, in 2019, we generated $5.1 million into that fund. This year, we're budgeting only $2.6 million. I feel very comfortable that we will exceed the $2.6 million based on how our employments are increasing and the new service we're going to be experiencing. With that, just want everyone to know that this account supports our only debt service at the airport. And our only debt service is the PFC bond. And the average annual payment for that bond is about $2.5 million. So we clearly will have enough money to fund that account. Not only do we have the set aside for that, but we also have 1 year reserve for our PFC. So if something catastrophic were to happen, we have a reserve set aside specifically for a full year payment for those bonds. The account that fluctuates the most is Fund 415, which is our maintenance and operating fund. Typically, we would hope to generate about $25 million in revenue, but with our amended budget, we're looking at $14.5 million. And as I think everyone well knows, that is directly impacted by the number of people through the airport. We're fortunate that we're starting to see our numbers come back. And year to date, we're at, looking at the report, we are at down about 48% compared to the prior year. And looking at November, as we expect Southwest to start on the 15th and additional services, just giving you a comparison, last December, our peak day for departures, commercial flights, we would have 66 flights departing the airport as a peak. This year, we already have 75 flights scheduled for our peak days in December. So we're going to see more activity and more operations. We'll see how many people actually are on the flights. We don't expect that to be the same load factor, but it's very encouraging that we are seeing that dramatic increase in flights compared to last year.
Mark, can you say what that figure is again for December of 20? We're going from 66 departures from a year ago to what now?
75. We
75.
have 75 flights booked. That does not include Contour and does not include Air Canada. We're expecting Contour to return in December and not exactly sure of the frequency of Air Canada yet. But as most of you are aware, WestJet started flying and returning with direct service from Calgary. That started on October 8th. So we have seen return of some of our Canadian flights already. Fund 416 is our primarily funded, well, it is totally funded with our AFP grant program. And that program, we typically are authorized for just over $4 million a year, but we were fortunate this year to get a grant for about 7.9. So we will see that money cycling through and funding some of our things from our ticket wing to our passenger boarding bridge replacement and some of our capital improvements along those lines that are already earmarked and approved from the federal government. So we've been very fortunate there. Looking at the rest of that page, you can certainly see how our revenues are tracking, and we typically track the larger accounts that are over $1 million. The scheduled landing fees only down 39%. So we're seeing our frequencies coming back, and we're encouraged that number will continue to grow. So those landing fees will increase even with our incentive programs. The landing fee surcharge is a charge that primarily, again, supports our maintenance of the facility, and that is funded with a $1.38 charge for all the passengers coming into the airport. So for each of the commercial carriers bringing people in, we collect $1.38 and fund that account. The land rental, of course, is pretty well fixed, and this is more of a timing issue, but we expect our land rental to be to hit budget and be very similar to the prior years. The lease parking account, parking is down about 57%. So that people's habits have been changing with parking, and we're seeing shorter stays, and we're seeing less frequency, of course. So there's more drop-offs and people avoiding using the parking facilities, along with the car rentals has been the major drop in the revenue stream. Other than that, there's really no major surprises, and these were all things that we had anticipated as we put the revised budget together. And keep in mind, the revised budget was very conservative, and we should clearly be able to meet the mark with not only our revenues, but turning to the next page on our expense side, we are seeing the 415 account. Our budget is $719,000 less spent for the first 3 months than last year at this time. So we've been doing everything we possibly can to cut expenses, from closing the regional concourse for a period of time to not mowing the grass as frequently and reducing the cost for our maintenance program for our landscaping. So all those little things have added up so far to a $719,000 savings compared to the prior year. We expect those things to continue, and we will continue to watch them very carefully. The last page, you can just see the difference between the revenues and expenditures for the different accounts. 405, revenues are trickling in slowly. Our expenditures, really the only thing we have started to do was some preliminary studies for the car rental expansion project, and we will proceed with that cautiously as we move forward. The PFC revenues, again, are coming in slower than expected, but again, it's a timing issue with that as well. And then you can see that the major thing, account 415, the revenues less expenses, we're about $1.6 million short. The fortunate thing is we have the CARES grant, and as you all recall, we can recoup some of our shortages. So next week we'll be requesting some grant assistance from the CARES program to match that $1.6 million for the first 3 months of the year. And that 1.6 shortage is about $400,000 to $500,000 less than we anticipated. So all things considered, we're already doing better than we had planned to do at this point. And then below that, we just have the capital projects, and the revenue stream there, of course, as I mentioned, is just the grant program. So looking at our cash balances, the airport fund summary, Fund 405, the CFCs, as I mentioned earlier, just over $24 million. We expect that to continue to grow until we get into a major project, and we will begin the planning phase again, because we assume in a couple of years that a car rental business will again return to a more normal pace, and we'll need the added capacity. The PFC restricted fund at 1.8, that does not include the additional 1 year set aside that I had talked about. So we have PFC's funds of 1.8 in the bank account, plus $2.5 million for our payment of bonds in case we had a catastrophic situation here. And then capital funds restricted for capital, we have $12 million in that account. And we're, of course, very cautious of capital improvements at this particular time. But it is a good reserve to have for events that may occur. And then for Fund 415, of course, we have $10.8 million in that account. And we have, of that, nearly $4 million is restricted for the reserves. So those monies could be spent if we did have a shortfall. The interesting thing, of course, as you probably know, the airlines have a residual agreement with us. So if we had an event that we needed more funding, the airlines have agreed to pay any shortfalls that we would have. So that has not occurred in the 9 years I've been here, and we do not anticipate this occurring this year. We have told the airlines we plan to hold their rates and charges consistent, and we do not plan to have any increases for any of their fees in the upcoming year as we come out of the current situation. So we feel confident with the CARES grant and the funds available. We certainly will have enough, we'll have a balanced budget this year, and can maintain things as we come through this current COVID situation. So our funds are in pretty good shape, and we're in a much better condition than most airports across the country. So with that, I would entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mark? Yep, very, very comprehensive, Mark, and thank you very much.
I would only ask.
Budget.
Yeah, thank you very much. Rolf? Yeah, Mark, thank you very much. And unfortunately, this may be, if I understood correctly, this may be the last budget that he prepares.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for all of the work that you've done. And if you could actually send out, the corrected documents, with the headers corrected, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'll do that. In fact, I will prepare the financial for the November meeting as well. We'll have that
Okay.
part.
Okay, we'll look forward to that.
Okay, thank you. And Mark, yes, I know we all add our congratulations and thanks for all of the good work that you've done all of these years, and you're going to be deeply missed without any exception there. All right, with no other questions, we'll move on to the next item. Item 11, discussion and action items. I think what I wanted to do ask first, because before we get into these items, and this it'll be introduced by Ulysses, is to ask Patricia Breslin, because this gives us kind of a move into some of the updates that we're doing here. So Patricia, I wondered if you could give a quick update, a recap of the marketing committee. Patricia, are you still here? You need to unmute. Can't hear you.
Here I am.
Unmute.
I'm on?
Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yep, you're on.
All right. Well, last Wednesday, I was honored to chair my first marketing meeting with a great group of individuals, as you all well know, and of members and guests. And what I find was a really great asset was that so many of the members of the marketing committee are also serving as chairs and members of the other committees, which in this time, I think we really have to take a good look at what is needed in every single area that the marketing will need to know about to help market the airlines in this time. It's a very difficult time. But we did have two great presentations. I don't want to spoil them for you because I believe that you may be getting some information from Scott from the CVB, and
yes,
who else is going to be here today? Do we have another presentation?
Yes, we do.
Yes, Robert.
Oh, Robert. Okay.
Robert from the convention center. He's also going to be making a
Right.
presentation.
So both of them kind of inspired us because they were talking so much about looking at things in new ways, about the fact we have all the new flights coming in, which is a real boon for us, and that we can look at things in different ways to market fresh. And they're doing it. They're very innovative and creative, as you know better than I do, because I'm brand new, but it just really swamped me because of hearing all of this firsthand this last time was just a great feeling. I think we're positioned really well to be strong, become even stronger than before. So I don't know if you would like to add something else, Chair. You were there as well, or if any of the members.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a great road ahead of us, a hard road ahead of us, and COVID has given new meaning to our resolve. So that's about what it is.
Okay, great. Thank you, Patricia. Then Ulysses, do you want to introduce this item?
Absolutely, thank you. Many of you remember that prior to COVID, the commission agreed to team up with the Palm Springs Tourism Bureau to do some marketing of the airport here locally. That program was launched, and we've invited Rob Hampton from the Tourism Bureau to come and give a presentation regarding that effort. So Rob, if you're available.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Good evening. Thanks for having us here tonight. As Ulysses mentioned, we've had the pleasure of helping the airport with local marketing the last couple of years. And this evening, I have David Wells, the marketing expert in this area, on the line as well. He's going to walk you through the 2019-20 plan and and just summarize some of the accomplishments that took place last year. So David Wells, I don't see you on here, but I know you're here.
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm just hidden on another screen.
please.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see this presentation.
Yes.
Great. As Rob mentioned, my name is David Wells, and I'm the Vice President of Communications with JNS Next Advertising. And through our contract with the Bureau of Tourism and the Convention Center, we fulfilled this contract for the airport in 2019-2020. So just to go over, again, this is a recap of last year. We have been working on this contract for the last 4 years as well. The 2019-2020 goals included to increase awareness of PSP Airport within Coachella Valley and surrounding areas, and that was done through advertising. Redesign and launch a new website for the airport. As many of you remember, this was a sub website with underneath of the city website under palmspringsca.gov. And now we have palmspringsairport.com. And then to create a new 30-second video and photography assets that we could use not only on the website, but also across the advertising efforts. The budget for 2019-2020 that was approved was $69,000. However, the total spend prior to the shutdown was about $24,000, which left about $44,000 that went unspent. Previous year's budgets, just for your reference, 18-19 fiscal year was $43,000 and 17-18 was $42,000. So we now have palmspringsairport.com as a new website. You know, there's easier navigation, you know, finding some quick things, whether it's the passenger services or airport map, flight information, flight status. And on this next slide, you can kind of see on the left-hand side, just a screenshot of the homepage. That top large image area is a video, which I'll play in just a minute. And then some of those quick call to action buttons there about airlines and destinations, business information, ground transportation, etc., with links as well to the City of Palm Springs website, as well as visit palmsprings.com. And then you can see on the right-hand side, the live flight view information for departures and arrivals there. And this is the video that was created in collaboration with the Greater Palm Springs CVB and their team. We worked with them to generate this video that we use not only in advertising, but it's on the homepage of the website.
Yeah, your heart is the sun and it shines. Is it open? Where your heart is the sun and it shines. Is it open? Yeah, your heart is the sun and it shines. Is it open? Where your heart is the sun.
Add less time to your travels. Fly PSP. It's easy. PSPZ.
So as you can tell, you know, getting that message out about how easy it is to use the come early, enjoy our hospitality, fly direct to, you know, X number of cities. That was the messaging that went along with that video. You can see here on this slide just some of the corresponding images that were captured alongside of the videos that we were able to use. And these assets have all been turned over to Daniel. You know, I know he's obviously on day 11, but he has these to use at his disposal as well. The digital marketing, just to dive in a little bit deeper to that, geographically targeting Coachella Valley and outlying areas by zip code. We demographically targeted an audience of 21 years and older. We retargeted website users. So if they went to palmspringsairport.com, we could retarget them with our messaging. And then retarget higher producing demographic audiences. That includes those that are actively searching for flights, whether it's out of Palm Springs, or if they live in our geographic area and might be searching for flights out of Los Angeles or Ontario. We would encourage them to fly PSP. So the advertising launched on February 18th, which corresponded with the website launch. And then we ended that on March 16th due to COVID. These are just some of the examples of the ads. These are animated GIFs with some of the messaging that we had all come up with. Some of the tactics that were included on the digital side, which again allowed us to track, specifically how many impressions we got, how many clicks to the website we got, were the banner ad display, video ads. We ran the videos on connected TV. We also ran them through Pandora, and then we had a heavy Google search campaign as well. So we served over 1 million impressions in that 1 month period and generated over 5,000 clicks to the website. Again, that click-through rate is 0.5%. And then this chart just shows the overall impressions month over month and clicks to the website as well. So that's all I have for that. However, we did want to share Palm Springs Bureau of Tourism, which Rob is leading. We launched a new campaign this past June or July. We're calling it Hello Palm Springs. We just wanted to share a little bit of our creative and tactics with you guys, just to showcase what we're doing. I know Scott is going to present next for the CVB, so we can showcase their campaigns as well. You can see some of the messaging here. Again, it was to highlight not only Palm Springs, but some other subliminal messaging of hello sunshine or hello freedom, hello fresh air. Those points about COVID that people want to see. Really showcasing just individual people or individual families in these ads. There's also a corresponding video that goes along with that and photo shoot. And the assets are also being used on the new visitpalmsprings.com website as well, which just launched, I believe, last month. And finally, I'm frozen. You can see we developed a campaign brand book. We developed a strategy for social media, as well as the mobile-friendly and desktop-friendly website. So any questions? Comments?
Any questions?
Great.
Without any questions, I just want to make sure that obviously everybody understands Daniel being here only 11 days. He's gathering information with ongoing discussions with Rob and David, as well as Scott, who will present here shortly, as he is trying to develop both a short-term, an interim, and a long-term strategy for marketing and advertising. And so we expect Daniel to come up with a program, and we'd be working with David and city leadership to make sure that we bring it back to the commission for further implementation as we move forward. So without any questions for Rob and David, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And then Scott White from Coachella, from the CVB is also here, and he's going to talk about their strategy moving forward about marketing the airport to for those people outside of Coachella Valley. So, Scott?
Great, thank you, Ulysses. I'd also like to introduce Colleen Pace. She's our Chief Sales and Marketing Officer. She's going to be sharing our marketing plan for you. But before we get started, I just wanted to acknowledge Mark one more time. I've had the pleasure of working with him over the years. He's been a tremendous support asset and true professional, helping us along the way. So Mark, we'll miss you. Congratulations, and thank you for all the help you've given us over the years. We're fortunate, and thank you to some of our board members that are on the call. Rolf Hone, I know that AFTAB is off, but in 2013, the large hotels increased the TBID, our Tourism Business Improvement District, from 2% to 3%. And that 3%, that extra 1%, allowed us to then start marketing the destination nationally, and also helped us do air service development marketing. So it's a nice partnership that we have with the airport. They work on their incentives from the landing fees perspective and working with the airlines. And it's great to have Daniel here. So welcome, Daniel. We're excited to have you on board. And then we have the flexibility then to negotiate one-on-one minimum revenue guarantees or marketing plans and so forth. We're not bound by FAA. So it's a nice, I think, partnership that we can work together on this and try to grow service. It's a top priority. It was set by the board years ago to get more air service to the destination. That's the only way that we're really going to be able to grow our economy is through the airport, truly in the long term. So Colleen, if you can share your screen. I'm not sure, I think you stopped sharing your screen.
Yeah, sorry. Hold on one second here. There we go.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to you, Colleen. So
can you see that? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me. So I am going to share, it's frozen. That's sort of my, here we go. I'm gonna share a little bit about our flight campaign that we're just getting ready to launch right now, which is a fully integrated marketing campaign that we have a strategy for to include our new and existing markets. So it includes television, digital marketing, web, as well as social media. So I'm gonna get right into it here. We do have television, 702,000 spots and over 4 billion impressions that we're planning to serve into all of the markets listed there on the left. The new markets that are highlighted in yellow, we do have some special tags with calls to action with the specific airlines that fly from those destinations. Again, focusing on inbound traffic into Greater Palm Springs. And so I'm going to show you an example here.
Breathe in the air. Let your worries fly into the sun-filled sky. Troubles are erasing. Palm Springs, I'm here. I found my oasis. Be those open spaces. Find your own oasis.
So as you can see from that spot, we have a specific call to action with Southwest Airlines specifically and the location that they're flying from, as well as the date or the month that that flight service begins. The next program, we have a destination campaign for Expedia. Up to this point, we have targeted the drive market. We are expanding again into the new and existing fly markets. This has been a very successful campaign for us. In 2019, it generated 218,000 room nights and over 109,000 airline tickets. So we will be re-engaging this with targeting to all of the cities and markets listed here. TripAdvisor, again, TripAdvisor is one of the top travel research websites that people use to book their travel needs. And this last year generated 11 million impressions and 17,000 arrivals into the destination. We're able to track that through Arrivalist and through Adara Pixels in terms of how many bookings are generated through seeing our ads. These are some examples of the creative that we have running currently in the drive market and will be extended into the fly markets. Travel Zoo, this is a campaign that we just launched last month. We have a customized landing page with destination deals for hotels, attractions, and other types of events. We have customized emails that we reach the fly markets in. We have over 28 million impressions, 9,000 room nights, and 57,000 page views that were generated last year from this campaign. So this has been another very successful campaign for us. We also have Edge Media launching, targeting the fly markets. This is our LGBTQ targeting. We have editorial, banner ads, video, and dedicated emails as well to this network. Adara, this is our retargeting and prospecting ads. So our target markets are listed there. We go in with these ads, you can see that they're dynamic. We also have competitive market targeting. So if people are searching for any of these competitive markets, they'll be served our ads to encourage them to book Greater Palm Springs. And Centro, this again is targeted digital advertising. You can see an example here. This runs on travel related sites. This example is from Travel and Leisure. Again, you can see the markets that we're targeting listed there. We also have a customized time to fly landing page. These are examples of what we had last year. We're finalizing the creative for This year, we do have our Google display ads that will be directed to this page. It will be dynamic and geo-targeted, so in the destinations that receive the ads, when they land on this landing page, it will be customized to the city that they're in. And another landing page that we have created, this has all of the new flights as well as the frequency and the start dates. So we do direct traffic to this landing page as well. We have a video that we created regarding the arrival experience to PSP. So that's on this page as well. And last but not least, our social media campaign targeting all of the cities listed there, 22 destinations. You can see are an example from 2019. For 2020, we're really focusing on obviously sunshine, warm weather, wide open spaces, natural hot springs, and things like that for people to experience, as we know that those are important things for people during the pandemic. And with that, I'll let Scott speak to the slide.
And just as a reminder, we engage Avion Pacific, Oliver Lamb and his team to work with us on air service development. We have a monthly retainer with them, and they're very active. They represent us at Jumpstart and Routes America, and they've worked really hard with us in the past on minimum revenue guarantee negotiations. And they've also brought they do a roundtable conferences a couple of times a year. They brought one here last year. It was at the Indian Wells, at the Hyatt in Indian Wells. Did a great job. They have really good relationships with the airlines. So we're excited to keep them on board. Even with the reduction in revenues for us, we've decided to keep them in place. They were very gracious in reducing their fees during this time period as well. So we're excited to keep them going, and obviously we'll continue to work closely with Daniel. We're in some discussions right now for even more flights, but we'll see what happens as things go forward. We're in a fortunate situation where we do have the strength of the leisure market. Unfortunately, until the state of California gives us some guidance on the group side, the meeting side, it's going to be very difficult, I think, from a load factor standpoint for midweek business. So we really need to advocate the state to get meetings back up and running as soon as possible in order for us to really sustain the number of flights that we've added into the destination. So we've been negotiating and advocating with the county and the state, both at our level and at the state level, with California Travel and the Lodging Association, the importance of meetings and how important it is to get them back up and running. With that, I think we'll take any questions. I also like to encourage that hopefully local marketing, I know it's been paused, will hopefully start again soon. I'm not sure who makes that decision, but I would encourage it to start locally soon.
Great.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions for Scott? I just want to say, yes, Commissioner Clarkson.
I guess I don't understand the local marketing. I know that's on pause, but the idea that we're increasing awareness about the airport, whenever that's mentioned, I think, well, doesn't everybody know about the airport? And I guess I don't understand the philosophy of that and why money is spent on that. Maybe not this meeting, but another meeting. I'd like maybe to discuss more about that, because I just don't get it personally. I can understand all the marketing budget for other destinations or other cities coming into Palm Springs and all of that, but I don't understand the other.
What is it that you don't understand, Jeff? I'm not sure I followed that.
Well, I think everybody's aware. I mean, when I make the decision, I'm going to go through Palm Springs, it's if it's cheaper. I guess our biggest competitor is Ontario. Obviously, that's not going to be as convenient for me. I think that's all very obvious. I don't know what you can do in terms of marketing that, you know, isn't already out there and that people know about. I would what you can add this to a future meeting, I think, for discussion. I'm not sure I would agree with your observation. In my experience, unfortunately, very little is known about the local airport in terms of where we fly and what we do. And I think that we do need to market more as well from the local area to make them aware that they can get from anywhere from here. They don't have to drive to Ontario or other locations. So maybe that would be a discussion that we could start with the marketing committee and then move that up from there. If that would be okay, Jeff. That'd be great.
Okay. Okay. Then Ulysses.
Hello. I just want to chime in, Jeffrey. How many people do you think we have service to Oregon, Eugene, Oregon right now? You know, I mean, I can tell you from my own experience, I know I've said it in the past, my son lives in Corvallis, and he's always talking to me about going up to Portland and flying down here. And this was back when Allegiant flew out of Eugene the first time. I told him, why don't you just drive over to Eugene? That's like a 50-minute, 45-minute drive. And he wasn't aware of it. So even if I don't use the service, I have people coming here, there's relatives, friends, they need to be aware that they may be nonstop service, you know. They may have been using Ontario for a long, long time, but now we have nonstop service. And that's even more important now that we have Southwest coming in, and basically we are connecting on Southwest to anywhere in the country, but that's just my observation.
Well, that's my question. Increased awareness of what exactly? If it's destinations, okay, I kind of get that. I didn't see a lot of that in what we saw. It was more about, well, it's more convenient. Well, yeah, I get that. But if it's destinations and things, I think that's less obvious. And, you know, if the emphasis were on that, I could understand it perhaps.
Well, the presentation, there was a reference, the last one too, they were destination specific. Actually, is what I heard on that too. I happen to agree with Peter on that as well. I'm going to be flying to Eugene because my niece and her husband moved to Florence, Oregon, and it'll be much easier for me and to go up there and them coming down here. But they weren't even aware either that we're going to be starting service. But let's add that to the agenda for the next marketing committee, and or we'll bring up at the commission as well. Are there other questions before we ask Ulysses to go to the airport use and lease agreement extension? Ulysses, why don't you take it up? This is an action item.
So, thank you again. In your package was a staff report regarding a request to consideration for extending the existing airport use and lease agreement. Currently, the agreement with the airlines is going to expire December of 2020. We are on a one-year extension right now, as we thought that we were going to be able to finalize the negotiations for a new multi-year agreement by the end of this calendar year. With COVID-19, the negotiations, which had been well underway and progressing very well, were suspended. And in talking with the airlines recently, we've agreed that we would like to resume the discussions regarding a new airport use and lease agreement, but to be able to accomplish all of the discussions and negotiate all the different terms, we would like to extend the current agreement starting from January 1st for 18 months through the middle of 2022. So this is, again, for your action to hopefully agree with that recommendation so we can move forward to the City Council with that agreement extension.
Thank you, Ulysses. This was item 11C on your agenda. Are there any questions?
I move to approve.
Peter moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Rolf. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, Ulysses, unanimous support for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to the executive director and staff reports. Ulysses, coming back to you yet again.
Thank you again. Nadia, can we get the presentations? We're going to go talk a little bit about the ticketing wing renovation project and give you some most recent pictures about the project itself. So the project continues to move forward. This exciting picture here of a hole in the ground, obviously being a little bit sarcastic, but this is very exciting for us. This is the bag tunnel on the north side that will bring the bags from the curbside underneath the ticket wing and up to the back area where they're going to be inspected by the TSA. So This is progress being made on the north end of our ticket lobby. Next slide, Nadia, please. One back, I believe, or I'm sorry. Okay, no, I'm sorry, go back. You're right, I'm sorry, I'm not controlling this. Okay, so this is the opposite side of the ticket wing. This is the bag tunnel on the south side. Unfortunately, I mentioned to you before, we've had a couple of discoveries with a unknown high voltage line, a 12 kilowatt voltage line that goes right through underneath where those plywood pieces of are. And so that prevents the contractor from making any progress. Those high voltage lines were redirected to another location. Unfortunately, after that, we found some communication data cabling that belongs to Frontier Communications. And so we are waiting to work with them to redirect those lines away from this area so that the contractor can make progress on the excavation and then the building out of that bag tunnel. Next slide, please. And so this is the new ticket lobby. The back wall there is to the left. You can see the ceiling being put in place over the new ticket counter lobbies. Where you see those fans and the cone out there in the middle, that's about the position of where the new ticket counters are going to be. And then toward the right is going out toward the street. So you can see some real nice progress being made, and it's starting to really take shape there. This is from the opposite direction, looking toward the north from the south. Again, ticket lobby, ticket counter positions to the right. Next slide, Nadia. This is now the opposite side of the ticket lobby. This is waiting for the direction of those Frontier Communications line. And as you can see out there in the middle, there are some plywood pieces shoring up the side of the tunnel. And that's where those communications line are that have to be redirected. So once we can move those out of the way, we'll continue to make progress in this particular area. Next slide, Nadia. And so out in the back, our baggage carousels continue to be built. Way in the back is the first carousel that was constructed, Carousel C. The one right there in the middle that looks almost complete is Carousel number 2. And then the one to the right is Carousel number 1 that is probably about 40% complete. Nadia, next picture. And then this is just an overhead view with the whole area behind the ticket wing regarding all the different aspects outside on the site work that's being done. So Nadia, anything else? And then inside, you can see that the carpet has been taken up and some of the soffit framing as well as some of the ceiling grids are going in place nicely. And so as Swinnerton starting to close up the ceiling in this area, this is right in front of where Alaska ticket counters used to be. And then the final slide is, that's the way that our ticket lobby looks like right now. We've torn up the carpeting. We've torn out the ceiling. And you can see some of the exposed HVAC work, the ducts on the left-hand side. And the metal that you see there is the company framing the soffits, covering the columns to start installing the new ceiling over the new ticket area. So a lot of progress being made. This work in the public area is being done at night without inconveniencing any of the public as they travel through. So that's kind of a summary on the project. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you. Next item on, just like to talk about item 12B, and that's the tracking of the general public attendance. This was a request by Commissioner Feltman. We are going to continue to monitor the Zoom calls to identify any individuals who we don't recognize as being part of the commission, part of city staff, or part of any presentation that is being made. so therefore we can keep track of the number of individuals from the public who are participating. And so we'll keep track of those throughout the year.
Thank you.
Next item is shaded structure for taxis and rideshare areas. We have repositioned some concrete benches into both the rideshare pickup area as well as the taxi areas. We repositioned some of those because they have a hole right in the middle of the bench. And what we are looking for, we've ordered are umbrella stands that are heavy enough to withstand any winds, as well as we're looking for heavy duty umbrellas that we've ordered, and we're gonna bring one out, put it in place, take a look at it, see if we think that it would withstand the winds and see how it looks aesthetically. And that will hopefully provide some shade and cover to individuals as they're waiting to be picked up by an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi. And so we're gonna take a prototype of a single umbrella and then make sure that it meets everybody's needs and desires from an aesthetic perspective before we implement more of those umbrellas throughout the curbs. So next item is 12D, and I think we should have labeled this packaging for takeout food through the city of Palm Springs. And so at this point in time, the City Council is not taking any action on that, so there is no progress made on this particular issue. And so we are monitoring as that item progresses through City Council, and at that point we can report back on any developments associated with that item. And then the final item is TSA priority line, and this was a request for us to take a look at the priority line. We talked to TSA, we talked to airlines, we talked to a variety of different individuals. We also looked at the need for, or the ability to give up some of that precious space right now with social distancing and COVID-19. And we've made a decision that at this point we would not be instituting a priority lane. We will continue to have the existing configuration of TSA PreCheck employees, and crew members and wheelchairs, as well as the general boarding as the primary lanes through the TSA queue lanes areas. So those are the items reporting back on prior commissioners' requests. Two more things that I'd like to just talk about. Nadia, the next slide, please.
Okay. Let me see. Share screen.
At the October 7th, October 8th City Council meeting, we took to the City Council a request. Next slide, please. A request to work with Parodies to expand their opportunity as a concession agreement to provide food and beverage services at the airport. As most of you know, since 1999, Parodies was the concessionaire that gave gift and news offerings here at the airport. HMS Host provided food and beverage. As of July 31st, 2020, HMS Host, due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, canceled their agreement with Palm Springs, and they stopped serving food and beverage, and they left the airport completely. Parodies, at our request, stepped up, and they started to provide prepackaged food and snacks. They also expanded their beverage selection, but from their current locations. They did that while they only had a month-to-month agreement through December 31st of 2020. So they were responsive to our request. So what we did following that, we asked them to take a look at the current locations where food used to be served, as well as coffee. And we asked them to examine to see what it would take for them to take over those locations, be able to start providing food and beverages from those locations. And so what City Council agreed after negotiating with with Paradies is that their agreement would be extended through April of 2023, and it would include both gift and news and food and beverage concessions. It would allow Paradies to operate through 3 peak seasons of 2021, 2022, 2023. In turn, Paradies is going to invest over $500,000 in capital investments to open up 4 food and beverage locations by the end of 2020. And they're really focused on trying to open up some of those locations prior to Southwest starting on November 15th. And they're working very hard to try to get a liquor license in place also by around November 15th. When HMS Host left, they took with them a lot of equipment, furniture, fixtures that Paradies has to replace, and some critical equipment like dishwashers and grills and so forth like that that they have to bring in. So the 4 locations that Paradies has agreed to open up before the end of the year. One is going to be called the Santa Rosa Kitchen and Spirits. It's formerly where the 12th Fairway was, up at the top of the Bono. Then they're going to open up where Starbucks used to be, post security in the courthouse, and that is with the new concept called the PSP Coffee House. And excited to say that they are going to use a local supplier of coffee products from Coachella Valley called Coachella Valley Coffee. They're also going to open up the wine bar at PSP, which was formerly the California Vintage, and that was right next to the Starbucks post security. And they're also going to open up what used to be the tap room down at the RJ. They have not told us what that concept is going to be, but it's likely to be very similar to what was offered at the regional concourse before. And so part of this agreement, they are going to restructure their rate structure with us into a tiered structure on the food and beverage side only. There will be no change to the gift and use as they continue to offer both sides. And so that's just a recap of the of what City Council approved for us moving forward. This moved very quickly, and one of the driving, one of the primary drivers of why we had to move so quickly was that Paradies communicated to us that that if we had any hopes of them opening up in time for Southwest's launch and some of the new service that was going to be coming in November, that we needed to move quickly so that way they could get permits for the construction that was needed, order equipment, relocate staff from other locations here to manage the food and beverage, and to hire and train staff. So we took this to City Council, got their approval, and Paradies is moving quickly to make sure that they fulfill their part of the agreement. So just wanted to give that as a recap. Nadia, is there another slide, or is that the last one on Paradies?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. And then the final announcement, or should I say the report, is, as you all know, that we moved all of our flight operations to the Bono Concourse during the summer months. We have been monitoring the flight activity, and we have determined that November 1st is the right date to reopen the regional concourse and start using both concourse full-time. Through the month of October, we started to use the RJ in the morning because we had some aircraft that would arrive the night before, stay overnight, and we had a larger morning departure bank than before. But starting November 1st, we do need to now separate flight operations as we had in the past between between Bono and the RJ. And so with that, we will continue to operate both concourses at least through peak season, and we'll take a look at it again next summer to see whether we duplicate the same process that we did this year. So with that, that concludes my my reports.
Great, thank you, Ulysses, for that very thorough report and update. Any questions for Ulysses on any of the items?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I'm afraid the what was said about the sustainability office's proposal and what's going to go before the council. We have a little bit of sort of an inversion here because they've already have a proposal that's fully outlined that has implications for any food service provider, and it was acknowledged, I think, by Dr. Reddy on last month's call that the sustainability office never consulted with the airport. So for us just to wait to see what the council does leads to the risk that we'll have an ordinance that we actually can't abide by because we have contracts with Paradies that don't include a whole slew of requirements they've never been asked or discussed. It's never been discussed that they would have to fulfill. So I would suggest that we circle back as an airport with the city manager's office and not wait for the council to deliver a fait accompli of what they're doing, because some of these things are pretty onerous.
Thank you, David. Ulysses, because you, I think, spoke with David Reddy on this in preparation for the report. Do you have any reaction or response? Or
no, I will talk with David again and see how he would like us to proceed with bringing back information to the commission.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions for Ulysses on any of the report items before we move on? Okay, seeing, and then we're going to move on to the commissioner requests and reports. And I was going to ask Jeff Clarkson if he could give a brief recap of the meeting of the Noise Committee that met just before the commission meeting today. Jeff, you want to start off the commissioner reports and then requests?
Sure, I'll be brief considering the time. The main thing that we discussed that I thought was very interesting, Ulysses gave a great presentation on an FAA noise complaint initiative where the FAA is trying to coordinate with local airports more closely. I think that's been a problem in the past. My impression is that when people with complaints about noise would go to the FAA, they would say go to the local airport. When these people with complaints would go to the local airport, the response would be, well, we can't do anything about airplanes in the air, and most of the complaints are about noise from airplanes in the air and the flight patterns and that sort of thing. So there really did need to be some coordination. So I'm glad to hear that they're implementing a coordinated effort there. So hopefully maybe Ulysses will be able to give a presentation about that at some time to the full commission. I'm going to go on mute. Sorry.
All right, I was just handed a note. We have 13 minutes left with Zoom. So Jeffrey, did you want to say anything more?
No, I'm good. I think that were the main things that we discussed during.
Okay, I know you saw Nadia where Ulysses is in one room, I'm in another room, and Nadia is in another room. So we have to kind of run between here, but okay. Then any other commissioner requests or reports? Going once, going twice. All right. And then we go to the report on the city council items. You have that, I believe, in the packet, if I recall. It's in there. If anyone has any questions. Nadia, is there any correspondence?
No, sir.
Pardon me?
No, there isn't.
There isn't. Okay, great. And then we receive and file the September and the November reports. I think they were just sent by Nadia in a separate email as well. Before we adjourn, again, I just wanted to extend a welcome to Daniel. We're looking forward to working with him. Very clearly, marketing is a very substantive issue as we move out of the COVID environment, hopefully. And again, a thank you, Mark, to you and to your years of service here. We really do appreciate all of the support that you provided to the airport and to the commission. And then I wanted to say a special thank you to Ulysses and his leadership. He stepped in at a very crucial time, and I've been very impressed with the leadership and the thoroughness with which he's responded to commissioner requests and provided the level of detail that we may not have had in the past about what's going on at the airport. So Ulysses, I do appreciate that, and I know on behalf of the commission, they do as well. If there is no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, now we get lots of motions for adjournment. Okay, who are we going to give credit for the adjournment? Who
I'll
spoke
second.
first? Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 I don't think anyone's opposed. I don't think there are any abstentions. So thank all of you for your participation tonight. I think it was a really great meeting. So thank you all. Take care.
Right.